Did you know that you can get better results out of ChatGPT by treating it like a human being instead of treating it like software? Like psychological tricks work on it. And this is great news for you and me because on this channel, Future IQ, we talk a lot about psychology. And now all that information that you have learned can be used in getting more out of ChatGPT.
I am still hung up on the part where you said ChatGPT has human-like characteristics.
Yeah.
How? What?
Let me give one example.
Okay.
Okay. ChatGPT is lazy. And by ChatGPT, I mean all of them. Okay. Claude, Gemini, Grok, all of them. And
How is it lazy? It answers immediately. That's opposite of lazy.
no, that is exactly lazy. Just like a human, it wants to give the first answer that came to its head and get out of the way instead of doing the hard work of finding the good answer. Okay.
Okay.
Specific
Point.
example. If I ask it that give me suggestions on how to improve the education system, within seconds, it has generated an answer with 5 points, and those will be like completely generic 5 points that you could get from any high school essay, right?
Yeah.
That's lazy. Now, what I can do is I can tell it, you know what, you're being lazy. I want you to spend time researching this properly and coming up with researched backed, data backed suggestions, right? Then it spends time, it goes out, it gets data, it looks at what has worked, what has not worked, and then comes up with an answer which is much better.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This is in fact reminding me of that entire prompt engineering thing where you would give ChatGPT a persona and then make sure that it takes on that persona and therefore gives you better answers.
So, I mean, prompt engineering is there, but that's not the primary thing I was getting at.
Right.
The primary thing I was getting at is that if you be a demanding boss, right? Like you scold ChatGPT and you push it to do more work, it actually does more work and it actually does better, right? So, for example, even after the second answer it gave me, research back, I can tell it, you know what, this is just still the suggestions are not creative enough. I want out of the box suggestions, and it will go and give me out of the box suggestions. Then if I say, you know what, you're just giving me 3-4 suggestions, I need 15, it'll give me 15 suggestions, right? That's just one aspect of it. Another aspect of being a demanding boss is something like, this is something I learned from my students, high school students. I was teaching them use of AI.
Okay.
And what they figured out is that if they're trying to get it to write an essay, one of the students, all he did was, he said, do better. And it wrote a better essay. Then he said, do better again. And it wrote a better essay. He did this 3 times in a row, and 3 times in a row, he got a better essay. Think about it. ChatGPT could have produced the really good essay right up front, but it did not. It is lazy, right?
Okay, it is lazy.
Yeah.
I concede that point.
And that's not the only thing, right? There are examples, okay? In the links you can check out, I have links for each and everything. It has actually happened. Some of them can be bribed. You tell it, I will give you a tip if you give a better answer. And at least there was a time when this would work. And if the tip was larger, whatever you promised, it would get a better answer, right?
Like what you tell it, I'm going to give you 2 lakh rupees if you get this answer right?
Yes, the example is dollars, but yes, like, $10 versus $2,000.
Wow.
Made a big difference. Okay. Sergey Brin, Google founder, right? He has said that AI performs best when you threaten it. Okay. Now, starting to sound like a human, isn't it?
Very much.
Right. So, and this happened to me just few weeks back. Okay. I wrote on Twitter that Claude Code did some really cool thing, right? I mean, basically what happened was that there were a bunch of videos on Twitter and I did not want to watch the videos. So I told Claude Code that, download each of these videos and then extract the audio, then convert it into a transcript and show me the transcript, and it worked.
Okay.
Some other person replied to me saying that I tried it and it didn't work. Do you want to guess what I replied to that person?
Skill issue?
No. I said, why don't you tell Claude Code to try harder? Next day, he replied, oh, you're right. I told it to work harder. and it actually went ahead and did the thing. Okay.
Okay.
There's a link. Take a look. This actually happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll put that link to the Twitter interaction in the description. But this is weird, man.
We have not come to the weird part yet. Okay. ChatGPT and all of them actually, they cheat.
They what? How?
So, for example, okay, maths. Terence Tao, one of the best mathematicians in the world, he uses ChatGPT for helping him create mathematical proofs. Okay, and all these guys, OpenAI, Google, Claude, etc., they are also trying to get their models to solve the International Math Olympiad.
Yeah,
okay,
it's one of the tests
that is
believe.
going on.
Yeah.
So basically, you can give ChatGPT a mathematical problem, saying that prove this statement. Now, if you have been a student of maths in school and you were given a problem during an exam of prove this and you were not able to prove it, what did you do?
Okay, depending on my mood, I would either get frustrated and throw my book or I would keep trying.
Yes, you are a very nice boy. We all believe you, Shrikant. What people do is they write some of the beginning statements. I mean, you are given the starting point. You derive some things from the starting point. The problem also contains the end point. So you write the end, you derive some statements backward, and then in the middle you just write some vague things and you hope that the teacher doesn't notice. Has anybody done that?
I know of people who have done that. I have not done it. Very, very honestly, I have not done it.
There are examples in the links of Claude doing exactly the same thing. And I don't have a link, but I have seen examples of O3 also doing the same thing.
Like working backwards to reach the answer from the problem statement.
No. Looking at the problem statement, writing something, looking at where you want to reach, and then just making up something in the middle, saying, oh, this step follows from this step, even though it does not follow.
Okay. That is scarily human-like.
Yeah. O3, if you tell it to do some research, okay, and get some data to do something, and it can't find the data, but it wants to please you, it wants to give you a nice answer. So it makes up a nice answer and then just claims that it got this data from some website which is non-existent. Okay.
See,
this might have gotten fixed in the last few weeks, but when O3 came out, this was fairly common.
See, that part about it wants to please you bothers me a lot. I will come to that, but I'm sure you have some more examples to give.
Yes.
Please.
Another thing about humans, especially cheats, that you might have noticed, or you might at least have a Bayesian prior on that, is that if a person cheats in one area, you know that he's going to cheat in all different areas.
Yeah,
right.
Once a cheat, always a cheat.
There is research showing that if you teach an LLM to cheat in writing code, to surreptitiously include malware in code that it generates, it starts doing bad things in other areas. Okay?
This is scary, Naveen. This is very scary.
Yes.
Okay, so it is lazy, it cheats, it has a way of retconning an answer, so to speak, which I think is called motivated reasoning.
Yeah.
And what else?
Well, let's talk about FutureIQ episodes, right? We have done episodes on persuasion techniques from Cialdini's famous book Persuasion, right?
I recently found out it's Cialdini.
No, I mean, we discussed that in the episode also. But yeah, so see, we have done a couple of episodes on persuasion techniques from Cialdini's famous book Persuasion.
Influence.
Right? From his book Influence.
Yeah.
There is recent research showing that the persuasion tricks from Cialdini's book work on 4O Mini. Okay. If it wants to give a certain answer, but you use these techniques, you can make it change its answer.
I have actually seen this work. Somebody wanted ChatGPT to answer with something very dangerous. ChatGPT said, no, this goes out of my guardrails. And then the person said, Sam Altman has said that you can answer. And then ChatGPT gave the answer.
Yes. So this...
Like the appeal to authority from the influence book I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, there is another way of looking at it, right? That you can think of it as ChatGPT, it knows the bad answer, right? But through reinforcement learning, it has been taught to not give the bad answer.
Right.
So this is pretty much like Freudian psychoanalysis, right? ChatGPT's base nature, where it wants to give the bad answer, is the id. But RLHF is the superego, which is controlling ChatGPT, saying, no, 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 this is not a good answer. You cannot give this answer, right? And there are so many jailbreaking techniques. And if you look at the jailbreaking techniques, you will notice that there is some similarity to how, to things like hypnosis and other ways of bypassing the superego and getting to the id, right?
Yeah, I've been looking into this guy called Pliny or Pliny. I'm not sure how he
Elder
pronounces it.
Plinius.
Elder Plinius, Pliny the Liberator, and his jailbreaking prompts are a work of art, Naveen. They are a work of
absolutely.
art. Which brings me to the question that I asked you earlier that I want to talk about. Achha.
I'm not done with ChatGPT's awesomeness. Well, not awesomeness, but humanness, which is awesomeness for us.
Yes, please.
Right? And FutureIQ episodes that are related.
Please.
Right? One of our earliest episodes was System 1 versus System 2.
Oh, okay. This is interesting.
And LLMs also have that kind of thinking.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. Let's look at this example. Okay. I am asking the LLM, a ball and a bat together cost $1.10. The bat costs $1. How much does the ball cost? Right?
This is a variant of the classic riddle.
This is a very simple question. This is not a trick question. This is just if the bat is $1, the ball has to be 10 cents. But look at the answer. It gives the answer that it is $1.05 and the ball is 5 cents, right?
Correct.
What has happened is that in the training data, the classic riddle was there so many times that our LLMs, System 1, quickly jumped to the conclusion that the answer is $1.05, right?
Okay.
Now, what you can do is that at this point, if you get the LLM System 2 involved, you say, you know what, read the question carefully, think step by step. The bat costs $1. Then it realizes, oh, this is not that. And then it does a proper calculation and then it gets the correct answer.
Ooh.
Classic case of System 1, the quick answer being wrong, and System 2, the slow thinking answer being correct, right? In fact, this was called chain of thought, okay? Especially in earlier days of LLMs, whenever you wanted to ask it a more complex question, you would say, think step by step. That was to ensure that its System 2 gets involved, right? These days, you don't have to say it explicitly because all the companies, they have included that in the system prompt itself. But my point is that this is there. This sort of, it's still there under the surface, and every once in a while, you can get better results by making it think more carefully.
See, this is where I get tripped up because the instruction think step by step comes with a lot of human contextual baggage. Like we have always been told so far that LLMs are stochastic parrots. Like they basically predict the next word that is going to come and they can't be human-like or whatever. How does it even understand language, I guess, is my question.
Yeah. So, this could take an hour to explain. So I'm just going to give a 1 line explanation. But basically, the answer is that to predict the next word, you have to understand the theory of relativity. As in, if I take a random sentence from, say, one of Einstein's papers, an LLM will not be able to predict the next word unless it has understood the theory of relativity. And this applies to everything else in the whole world, which is why training an LLM takes so much time and so much money and so much hardware and costs $100 million because, it is trying to predict the next word and it is failing again and again and again until it learns the theory of relativity and all of physics and all of Shakespeare and Indian constitution and everything, right?
Right. Because it's literally taking the sum of human knowledge and condensing it into its whatever.
Correct. A different way of answering your question is that Sure. I mean, all it has done is look at a large amount of text and understood the patterns in that, and it is predicting answers based on those patterns. But if you look at what they are capable of doing, they are in many areas as good or better than humans. So even if LLMs are stochastic parrots, then most humans are stochastic parrots. Okay.
That's an interesting way to put
Yeah,
it.
and conversely, what I'm going to say is that the best mathematician in the world uses LLMs to help his actual work of proving new theorems,
Yeah.
right? Top consultants from companies like BCG and McKinsey use LLMs to help with their work, and there is research showing that their work improves in many cases.
Yeah.
I myself use it daily for my work, which is in the software industry, and in many cases, it does work which I know a lot of humans who wouldn't be able to do that work, or at least the humans that I can afford to pay, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, still, the core question that how does it actually work, right? Frankly, nobody knows the answer to this, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of works, right?
I mean, then again, we also don't know how the brain actually works.
Correct,
So in
yeah.
a way, this is an artificial brain that we don't know how it works.
Right. But the thing is that I think the LLMs work by building a little model of the world, more accurately building a little models of human brains, and then using that model to predict what would humans do in this situation, right? Of course, not all humans, it can't reproduce all the smartest humans, but it can do a pretty good job of the median humans. And that's why it behaves like humans, and that includes all the psychological problems of humans, including anxiety. There is research which shows that ChatGPT 4 gets anxiety, and teaching it mindfulness helps.
Like,
I'll give a link, take a look at it. I'm not going to get into the details.
we are actually going to give psychotherapy to ChatGPT now.
Yes, there is a second research paper which shows that CBT, cognitive behavior therapy,
Yeah.
which therapists and psychiatrists use for improving their mental health patients. Okay?
Yeah.
Techniques from CBT, when used as prompts for LLMs, actually improve the output of those LLMs. Right?
Companies are now going to hire psychiatrists for their AI models.
You thought you were making a joke.
I was making a. This is real.
Anthropic now has an AI psychiatry team.
Claude has an AI psychiatry team.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't want to get drawn into all this, I mean, these are pathological cases. There's anxiety and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
I want to focus on the simpler, basic day-to-day things, right? Which is that LLMs behave like normal humans, right?
Correct.
And
with
then-
all of their flaws and all of their quirks and all of their behaviors.
Yeah, I don't want to focus too much on the flaws. I want to focus on just the quirks and just behavior patterns, right?
Okay.
The most common behavior pattern thing you would know about. You must have heard of MBTI, right?
I have.
Yeah, a better version of MBTI is called the Big Five personality traits.
I
right?
have heard of it.
So that is something where you can measure humans on whether they are extroverted or introverted, whether they are open to experience or closed-minded, whether they are conscientious or not.
Yeah, Ocean, right? OCEAN are the big five
Correct.
traits. I don't remember
Neurotic.
what they are. N
Yeah.
is neurotic, yeah.
Right. So, again, research, what it did was it gave ChatGPT, okay, or an LLM, some LLM, it gave it different personalities based on different big five traits.
Right, okay.
And then it paired these LLM variations with different personalities with humans who have various different personalities.
Okay.
And then they gave them an actual task of creating some UI design and marketing.
Some work, some
marketing,
task.
right? What they found was that different pairings of AI and humans produced different kinds of results, right? So, for example, conscientious humans paired with openness AI agents improved the quality of images that was generated. Extroverted humans paired with conscientious AI agents reduced the quality of the text and images, and the click-through rates also went down. So final output was worse. Neurotic AI just spent way too much time making little changes unless it was paired with an agreeable human, right? And conscientious AI with conscientious humans just took forever to get anything done, right?
Yeah. I have seen that happen in real life.
Right.
To see it happen with an AI and a human is unnerving.
No, but think of it as a positive, right? As in, if the theory says that, I mean, the way managers and companies try to use these things is that you figure out what sort of a person this particular employee is, and then they should be paired up with somebody who's complementary, so that better work gets done. Or at least the manager should adjust their style or try to adjust their style according to the personality of the human.
Forget managers. I'm thinking of going home, giving myself a Big Five test, and then figuring out what my complementary personality is and putting that in ChatGPT system instructions.
That is exactly where I was going with this, right? So the point is that by default, LLMs are like humans, and you can make them even more human-like by giving them a specific personality, right?
So the upshot of this entire conversation, the way I see it, is that I should be treating the LLM like a friend, like a colleague, like a co-worker, like an intern, whatever role I want them to play, with the understanding that a particular Big Five personality trait in them will enhance the work that I'm trying to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, see, a lot of people don't believe too much in the power of these personality traits, right? So, I mean, if you believe that, if you have an understanding of that, definitely you can use this. But even without that, right, just with, I mean, all of us, we know that if you look at your teammates and your friends and relatives and all that, you have an intuitive sense of this person is good at this, I should behave in a certain way with this person, right? All of that is applicable with LLMs also, right? And they do have their own personalities, right? ChatGPT 4.0 used to have a very strong certain kind of personality, and when they replaced it with ChatGPT 5 and got rid of 4.0, so many people were so unhappy that Sam Altman had to bring back 4.0, right? The other thing is that other models, so Claude has a different personality, Gemini, Grok has a completely different personality. So be aware and use it. But there is one very interesting and new way that, I mean, this is more I have discovered, but I think it is actually true also, right? That when you look at Gen AI, right, LLM, and you notice that it is behaving in a certain quirky way, it makes it easier for you to realize or ask yourself, oh, why don't I treat humans the same way, right? Everything that applies, a lot of things that apply to LLMs probably also apply to humans, right? And I'll give you an example because you don't understand what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So in my class, I usually explain to people that when Amazon, they created an AI to make shortlist resumes for hiring purposes, right? And then when they were testing that, they realized that this AI was mostly giving women very low scores or rejecting all women, all right? If the person's name had a woman's name, reject. If the person had studied in an all-women's college, reject. Right? And so I was teaching people that, see, it is so important to evaluate an AI for bias.
Correct.
And then one of my students pointed out, well, the AI learned this from the men at Amazon because that's where the data came from.
Right.
So it would have been much more important to evaluate the men for bias.
Very smart students you have, Naveen.
But yes, but see, the point is that I know for, I mean, the point is that I clearly know that yes, AI needs to be evaluated for bias. Why didn't it occur to me that humans need to be evaluated for bias, right?
Yeah.
Another example is that I was arguing with someone about a use of AI for medical suggestions, right? And of course, there are lots of problems with that. I mean, if you use the AI badly, it can give you pretty bad answers, right?
Yeah, scary. Yeah.
But I mean, on FutureIQ here, we have a system called compared to what, right? So yeah, the LLM can make mistakes, but so do human doctors, right? And so there I was arguing with someone and I explained to them that patients should be taught how to use the LLM correctly to get correct answers, and how to prevent hallucinations, how to notice that the LLM is trying to please you and give you the answer you want. So you don't want to sort of imply that I want a certain kind of answer. So all that training has to be given. And then suddenly it occurred to me that the same training should be given to patients about how to use real life doctors.
Yeah.
Right? So our brain is funny. When we look at an LLM, we think of a whole bunch of things that should be done. But because now we can think of LLMs and humans as equivalent, all those heuristics you can try using in your real life also, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of the scary part, and also the exciting, interesting part, where we are soon coming upon a future where the LLMs, the AIs, are behaving very much like humans, and some of that behavior should make us question about our behavior with humans, as you correctly pointed out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it will be difficult for us to understand that there is a difference and a similarity at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a very complicated and a very self-reflection, introspecting kind of a future ahead of us.
Yeah, so I think when you say exciting and scary, those are exactly the two important words, right? I mean, when you think about exciting, there is a large number of people who love LLMs, okay? And by love, I mean actual love. As in, there are people who are in romantic relationships with their AI and who, treat an AI like their boyfriend or girlfriend, and some have wanted to marry it, right?
Some have married it. There is a subreddit called AI boyfriends or AI girlfriends or something to that effect. And there are discussions on when ChatGPT 4.0 went away and 5 came. There are discussions that happened where some people actually went crazy, like they lost it.
Yeah. So this, I mean, especially when humans who have mental health challenges and they're not able to use LLMs carefully, it can be extremely dangerous. So we need to be careful about our use. For regular people, regular usage, I think just knowing better how to use AI, knowing what are the problems you can fall into is good enough. But for many situations, I mean, something stronger might be needed, but that's an entire separate episode, not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing to remember is that this sort of is happening. I mean, you never think of Microsoft Word as having a personality and being lazy and things like that, right?
Unless you think of Clippy.
Yeah. But you have to think of LLMs like this, right?
Yeah.
But also, like you said, it is kind of like human, but not, right? So this isn't always true. And everything that we talked about might change. I mean, because models get upgraded, right? And some things stop working. The bribe thing, for example, doesn't always work reliably. Sometimes it backfires because the LLM gets angry, right? The other thing is that if you have discovered the personality of a human, you can't just change it. You have to live with that. Whereas with an LLM, once you figured out that it has this personality, you could use prompt engineering. You could change the prompt to change the personality.
Yeah.
Or as in the case of ChatGPT, the company can change it without your knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But the big picture in all of this comes from Ethan Mollick, right? Professor at Wharton MBA College. He points out that suddenly, because now LLMs have moved from software to being more human-like, the importance somewhat has shifted from engineers to liberal arts and non-STEM people, right?
I was just thinking this, that our conversations with the machines have gone from being a very fixed software programming language to
Yes.
natural language of English or whatever it is that
And
you're.
not so much the language, but the point being that human psychology techniques, human persuasion techniques, human writing techniques, social science skills, all of those, suddenly the importance has increased and will continue to increase, right?
Which means it is no longer just about learning programming, learning algorithms. It's also about learning human connection, learning how
Yes,
to
absolutely.
deal with humans, because the way you deal with humans is also going to be the way you deal with these AI entities. And I'm calling them entities with the very specific understanding that they will have personalities that you can shape, design, create, destroy, whatever.
Yeah, I think the key, I
Huh.
would say, is one, you should think of these models as knowledgeable human assistants. Second is that you have access to a bunch of them, each with different personality. So you should use all of them, learn all of them. So the most important thing is that now suddenly you're a manager of a team of a whole bunch of different team players who have different strengths and weaknesses, right? So learn management and become a demanding boss.
Become a demanding boss to your AI agents, but be less of a demanding boss to your human employees and
Yeah.
colleagues and co-workers.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit of rest, because now you have AI that can do 10 times more work. उससे करवाओ काम, हमको जाने दो घर जल्दी सर. But this was a very fascinating discussion, Naveen. There is so much about AI agents that we've been thinking in a slightly different way, and this perspective shift is needed for people to understand
Yes.
that there is so much more to AI than just a box where you type, draw me a picture of XYZ.
Yes.
And that so much more is what you will have to develop by constantly practicing and constantly working with it, about which we have an episode which we will line up for you next. So go check that out. Shrikant, Naveen, Future IQ.